So what else is hitting Croatia's economy, and what does Zagreb have to do to grow it? Well, let's bring in Aurel Braun. He's a professor of political science and international relations at the University of Toronto. So let's start by talking about some of the opportunities created by this visit between Premier Lee and Prime Minister Plenković.
Certainly, Croatia welcomes this kind of link because they need foreign investments, they need tourism. Chinese tourism has increased tremendously. In 2016, there were 100,000 Chinese visitors. This year, they expect up to 300,000. And this is very important for the Croatian economy. It is important for the region. There's also a trade deficit with China. So the promise by the Chinese premier to increase imports of Croatian goods is also welcome. But I think we need to understand that this visit is much more than about Croatia, which is a tiny state. As was mentioned earlier, there is the summit meeting of the 16 plus. And that, I think, is a very essential meeting for these countries and for China.
And we know that ahead of this 16+1 meeting, both premiers said that they want to take their country's partnership to a new level. So which are some of the sectors that could provide the best opportunities to cooperate?
There are many areas. Certainly, in the case of Croatia, agricultural exports are crucial. They produce some industrial goods, but it would be difficult for them to compete with China. But I think the symbolism is important because this is part of the Belt Road Initiative. And I think Croatia, as a member of the EU, opening up strong lines with China, maintaining and enhancing those lines, speaks to the goals not only of Croatia, but also some of the other countries in the group of 16. And it also creates, one must recognize, a certain degree of friction with Brussels, because the European Commission, the European Union itself, is not particularly happy by some of the inroads being made by China in Eastern Europe.
So given that we're seeing some criticisms from some countries in the EU about more European countries joining the Belt and Road, what is it that Croatia is looking for in its relationship with China?
They want to have more tourism, they want to have more trade, they want to adjust the balance, which is very much in favor of China. China exports about 800 million euros to Croatia and imports only about 133 million euros, so there can be a significant improvement in that. They welcome the expertise and help that China has given in crucial projects, the amount of money that China has been able to invest, not only in Croatia, but we see that in Serbia, China invested something like $3 billion. So I think that is an important element. And I think politically, Croatia, as well as the other members of the 16 group, they want to maintain strong relations with the EU, but they also want to have a degree of independence. They do not want to be totally captive to Brussels. And I think this is a demonstration of the fact that they want to have more options by keeping and enhancing relations with China.
Now, one of the side effects of Croatia joining the EU is that we're seeing a lot of young Croats with all this talent and skill leaving for better opportunities because of lower rates of pay and education and skills training in Croatia's mainly state-dominated economy. How might that play out, though, in Croatia's efforts to really compete and grow?
It's a significant problem because the population of Croatia has been declining. They have a low birth rate and, as you pointed out, a brain drain. It is not unique to Croatia. It's happening elsewhere in the former communist states in Eastern Europe. They would like to stop that by making their economies grow, by creating domestic opportunities. Croatia has been growing, but not fast enough. It is still way behind in terms of per capita GDP as compared to Western Europe. So this is not a problem that they can solve easily. Investments from abroad by China, other countries, can help move in the right direction.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Aurel Braun there of the University of Toronto.